Welcome to Evo Biz Devo with Isis Latham, your host, your hub for personal and professional growth since 2018. At Evo Biz Devo, we bring together entrepreneurs, business leaders, and change makers to spark ideas, share knowledge, and grow together. Stick with us as we explore fresh ways to expand networks, build resources, and create lasting impact. Let's get started. Every week I get to bring on a new guest. And you know what's amazing is that somehow they just keep on getting even more interesting. Not because somebody wasn't interesting before, but because these stories start to roll together and create a new vision of what small business can really be like. We also get to hear these personal stories from people as well. And so Deb, today, I should probably say Deb Porter. I know she's on a first name basis to me, but you might need to know her last name so that you can find her, for instance, on LinkedIn, because Deb Porter believes that soft skills should be recoined to essential skills. An expert in active listening for over 25 years, she is the founder of HOLD, which is an acronym for Hearing Out Life Drama. Her mission is to educate others in active listening, as well as be an outlet when someone needs to be heard. She has seen the impact that strong listening skills can have in both businesses and personal life. You know, I've experienced myself with you, Deb. We had a one-to-one. We started talking, and you made the most amazing connections. And I think it was probably because you really heard who I was and what I was all about. How did you develop this skill and then turn it into a business?
How did I develop the skill? That started a long time ago. I really believe it developed in my childhood. I've written an article where I talked about being in the car with my family when I was about 7, and my parents were having an argument. And the person driving the car started to go faster and faster and faster until we were traveling down the road at 122 miles an hour over hills and through the woods, basically. It was terrifying. It was literally terrifying for me. And it was a moment where I really determined there's got to be a way to communicate with others where people listen to each other. There's got to be something else here. And I just kind of knew that. I didn't know what it was yet because nobody was demonstrating it to me, but I believed that it was there. And so obviously that experience stuck. And as I grew, I started to look for those, look for people around me in my world where I could find examples of communication happening in a different way. So
that was a powerful image that you created for us. I think we can probably all remember experiencing that, where somebody gets so hot under the collar and they're moving faster and faster, and it's not just when they're in a car, is it?
no, it's not.
They do this when we're not feeling heard. We tend to do this in all of our communications.
Yeah.
So you had this impactful moment where you realized that you didn't want to allow this to continue. You wanted to find a solution. How did you go about actually starting a business? And tell us a little bit about what Deb personal life is, and then what Deb professional life is, and then how that merged into who you are today.
So, as I grew up, I was 19. I went to college. I decided I was going to be a secondary education teacher, and quickly realized that wasn't going to be the right path. I felt called to really help people, and so I thought the way to do that was going to be through the church. And so I went and got my degree. I have a seminary degree, a 96-hour Master of Divinity in with a specialization in care and counseling. And so that's where I really get the authority to speak, and to where all of that comes from. That's where my interest, obviously, in the listening really started to grow. I left the church pretty early on. I was serving full time for 3 years, and the LGBTQ plus issues blew up. And I saw my colleagues being put on church trial. They were losing their pensions. They were losing their ordination. They were losing everything. And at the same time, all that was going on, a family member came out to me. And so I realized I could not stay where I was. And so I pivoted and said, okay, I need to not be here. This is, if anyone ever asked me, my answer, of course, is going to be, yes, I'm going to marry you. So whether that's my family member or somebody in my congregation. So I left the church. About the same time, I had my daughter. She was about 1 at that time. And when she was born, we discovered that the genetic condition that had taken the lives of my husband's two siblings, he actually had that same condition. And we did not know that at the time that we got pregnant. And so that was a bit of a pause. And I was like, okay, that there was a lot to integrate into our lives. And everything was going along fine. They didn't know why he was alive, but he was. And so we just decided we were going to embrace the moment and live where we were. And then in 2011, he did get very, very ill. And for 8 years, I was his intensive caregiver. And during that time, I really needed somebody to hear me. And family and friends wanted to do that, but often didn't understand how to do that. And so they would offer advice. They would give me suggestions about what to do next. So I was very determined that he mattered in our lives, especially for our children. We have 2 kids. And I just really believed that he had so much still to offer the world. And so I did everything I could to figure out a solution so he would continue in the world. And we found a drug that worked after trying many. I went through some difficult conversations with our kids. Hey, we don't know, the doctors don't know what's going to happen when we try this, but we need to. So just so you know, this is going to happen. And so listening to our kids through that too was a very strong experience to be able to understand what that is, to really hear somebody who's going through something really hard and being with them in that, holding that space. So then the marriage fell apart after he got better. We went to marriage counseling for 2 years and that didn't survive. So after 25 years, I was on my own. How did I get to my business then? So I was working at a funeral home during that time. Loved that job, would have stayed there forever. But the management said, we are changing our compensation package. And instead of the cash compensation we've been offering you for selling pre-needs, which I was very good at, to be honest, they were going to offer. We're instead giving you $25 gift card, and that was just ridiculous. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't stay here and do this. So I was reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Many of you may know it. And I was reading that book at the time, and the chapter on imagination, I was like, if I can just do anything, what would I want to do? And so I'd been reading that book, and then I went to fold my laundry, and I was like, I could just do anything. What would I do? And it came to me as I was folding a towel. What if I listen? What if I listen? And so that's where the whole idea of hold came from. I was folding my towels because I was listening to myself. I was listening to the universe, right? Tuning in is so important. And so I reached out the very next day to my business partner, Lynn, and I said, hey, will you come build this with me? I was almost 50. She was almost 60. And here we are for almost 3 years later now. That was on March 9th of 2021.
Wow, March 9th. Well, it's March 20th today.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to share a quick story about my own personal Think and Grow Rich moment. I'm driving, so out here in New Hampshire, we do a lot of driving and on these long back roads that you can't go very quickly, and so they can take a while. And I was going through Marlborough, New Hampshire, which is just a blip on the radar, but I was listening to that book, and I asked myself a question about why I was so frustrated with this networking environment that I had been in. I was on my way to a networking event, actually, and it just felt like it was all so one-sided, and I wasn't getting the depth of relationships and the reciprocity that I was looking for inside of these relationships. And I thought, why am I so upset by this? And I realized as I was listening to this book about the idea that what we generate has the ability to continue regenerating and growing and magnifying over and over and over. And that's really the alchemy behind it, right? That what we do can turn into so much more. And I said, that's it right there. If I do business with somebody else, but then they take those dollars and they hoard them all to themselves and they don't continue to spread that wealth, it stops. But imagine if it goes from me to them, to another, to another, to another, and then eventually comes back to me. We have just imparted all of the skills and wisdom and knowledge and emotions that are attached to all of those actions that occurred. And we've compounded the money significantly.
I've got goosebumps. Yes.
That is how evolution business development was born.
Really good.
Yeah. People always say, well, how did you start something like this? It's the same question I'm asking you. And it's the moment of folding the towels.
Right.
It's the reading the book, whatever it is that occurred. And it's so easy to say, oh, I was frustrated with B&I. No, that wasn't it. Right. It was so much deeper and so much was a seed that was grown. So I'm going to come back to something that you were saying, the fixer versus the listener. How do we know when we're supposed, because sometimes we are called to fix. How are we supposed to know based on what we're hearing, how to approach that?
If this is the one thing, if I can change in the world, this is it. And so this is what I encourage people to do. So you're in a conversation with somebody and they've just gone, and I don't know what to do, right? Instead of just jumping in with what you obviously see as a solution, take a pause and just say, I really heard that you're, whatever feeling it is, you're upset or you're frustrated, whatever feeling it is. And is that something right now that you're looking to find a solution for? Or did you just want somebody to hold space with that? Because I can absolutely do that with you. And then just let it be. And then listen to what they say. Do they want the problem solving or do they want somebody to just hear them? Because sometimes we just need to be heard. And when you offer them the opportunity to say, oh, no, I just really wanted to be heard, then because they already know, the truth is almost all of us, really all of us do know our solution. We know the answer inside of us. It's just a matter of letting that come up to the surface in that folding towel moment or whenever else it is, right? We have that solution that's there for us. But sometimes it's in that being with somebody else and having them actually hold the space that's then allowed to come. But if you're putting your answer at me, I might not be able to hear my own solution. So
oh, that's what's behind it.
Yeah.
That when we have the answer brought to us or pushed into our space, we may not be able to hear our own answer, our own solution. Wow.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I've known the rest of it all along, but that you're right, because we then have to turn our focus to what that other person is trying. And now we go up into our brain and we're trying to problem solve. And of course, if we're like most people, we start to say, well, that won't work because, and we get all wrapped up in this. Wow.
Yeah. And what this applies in business, this applies in life, this applies everywhere. This is a universal skill. You can put this thing, this idea, this concept, you can apply this absolutely anywhere. Every relationship. Yeah.
So I want to come back to C.O.R.E. You teach this framework. It's called C.O.R.E. Mm-hmm. Tell us about calm, outcome, relate, and empathy. And if you're writing these down and you want to hold this onto this, it's called C.O.R.E. and it's calm, outcome, relate, empathy.
Yeah, I teach this framework because number one, it's simple. It's easy to remember when you're in a conversation. Most people think that listening starts with the other person, but it doesn't. It doesn't at all. It starts with you. You have to be calm before you ever start a conversation with somebody else. So, for example, before this conversation, I was 10 minutes beforehand making sure that I was in the best mental space I possibly could be to give my best self to your group. And so being calm is essential to be able to bring our best self always. It's just like, if you think about the example we started with the car, that person was not calm. And so that's essential. You have to start with calm. And so if you're not calm and you lose that in the middle of the conversation, you have to figure out a way to get back to that. So calm is a very important part of what I teach. outcome, what is it that the person that you're speaking with, where is it that they want to go in this conversation? What are you trying to resolve or get to in the conversation? Do they just simply need to be heard? Do they have a problem that they need your sales solution for? What outcome do they want? Right. So then the R, this is relate. This is the active part of active listening that I teach. This is really large, and it's kind of hard to break down in a short conversation, but just briefly, it includes things like beyond just like put the phone away and turn the TV off. This includes things like body language. This includes things like open-ended questions, knowing open-ended questions to ask. This includes all those types of things. It's very broad. And then finally, the E is empathy. And obviously, we want to bring our most empathetic self to absolutely every conversation. And so we're looking at how can I apply empathy in this conversation? And really, if that's a sales conversation, then that looks like, what is this person really going through if I try to put myself in their situation? I think I've learned probably in the last month or two that sometimes empathy looks like, I really can't know what it is for you. It's not possible for me to understand exactly what you're going through. And so that's been a new knowing for me that I'd share with you today. And I feel like that's empathy in itself. Knowing we can't know, that's empathy. So yeah.
I want to ask you a question about this empathy. Is there ever a situation where it's not appropriate to be empathetic?
I can't think of one. Can you?
So I think I might be confusing it with another emotion.
Okay.
Not in empathy in itself, but I'm picturing somebody who's already particularly distraught.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're showing empathy, sometimes it can cause them to spiral into the emotion, even when they don't want to. I know, for instance, I was working with a woman who was going through a divorce, and I made the mistake of asking her how she was and then pausing. And she said, please don't ask me that. And I realized from some personal experiences after she said it, that she wanted to stay surface. Mm-hmm. And didn't want to go there because that made her feel too vulnerable. And I'd like your opinion of that, and how, as a person who wants to be kind and thoughtful and empathetic, can apply better skills to a situation like that.
So Isis, what I would tell you in that scenario is you applied empathy because you offered her the space to share if she wanted to. And she set a boundary and said, no, thank you, I don't. And so in actuality, and then you respected that boundary. My guess is you did not push her. You did not move in and say, oh, well, let's talk about, and you didn't force that. So you were showing empathy. You offered the opportunity. She declined. That's all good. That was empathy.
Great.
Yeah.
How interesting. And I felt that there was more to that story, but I wanted to get your understanding and opinion of it. As we start to wrap up, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
And as we start to wrap up and move into our mastermind, what's a call to action that you might have for people? And it can be a couple of calls to action. It can be a way to connect with you. It can be a way for them to be a better listener. Whatever you'd like to share with us today.
Well, if people are interested in learning more about the C.O.R.E, Listen Your Way to Increase Sales is available. I have that online course. That's obviously available. That's specifically written and targeted for people who are operating in sales every day and speak specifically to sales issues. If you're dealing with more relationship problems and more personal things, we have Listen Your Way to Deeper Connections. It's another online course. It covers the same core, has that same basis. So yeah, so those are two options. And of course, I'm always on LinkedIn. If you're like, I don't need a course, I just, interested in following along and seeing what you do, Deb, then join me on LinkedIn. Love that.
you have a strong presence on LinkedIn, and I've enjoyed that. I actually have rung your bell, and so I get notifications
Ah,
when
fantastic.
you come on LinkedIn. So you have this tagline for Hold: discover the power of listening. When we truly hold space with another, amazing things result. Is there more to share today, or do we leave it at that?
Well, let's mastermind. Let's dig into where the people on the call are. I've talked a lot. It's not. It's so funny. I'm all about listening. I talk so much. I'm like, let's start from where you are. Let's dig in with what you'd like to know.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for being here with our interview today, for sharing so vulnerably. I
Thank
will
you.
provide this recording because this is where the real greatness occurs, when we get to know people, when we understand who they are. And Deb Porter from Hearing Out Life Drama, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Want to be our next featured speaker? Click the link in the description to register, and let's stay connected. Follow me on all those social media platforms for financial tips to help you make your money work smarter while you build financial stability. Stay tuned for more, and see you in the next one.